Welcome to Planet Pluto.
Bravo, bravo. Put the turkey down and come on in. That's right. Take off your mask or leave them on, if depending on if you got some chitlins inside that helmet. Welcome to Planet Pluto Pseudo. Y'all know who it is, right? me. It's me, your homegirl Ladosha, Wright, aka Key Lolo. And look who we have over there. That's right, good people. It's the one and only Cheryl Morrow, the hair oracle. That's right. Come on, y'all. Get that sweet potato pie. Come on, get the ham, chicken, greens, tomatoes. Come on in. It's Turkey Day. We saw the Macy's parade, right?
Yes.
Anybody see the Macy's parade? Did you see it?
What was I supposed to see? So
maybe I missed
something.
So boring. The only thing you can do in America on Turkey Day is watch the Macy's parade. By the way, did you see Cher? Oh my God. What the French toast is she drinking? What doctor is she going? Good Lord. She and Dolly Parton. Did you see them tatas? Dude, I'm going to get some of these snatched up out of here, man. These boobs got to go. I want me some Dolly Parton and some Cher boobs. I don't want these big mama Medea boobs. These boobs got to go, man. Hey, if you don't have big boobs, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, I am down for some Cher and some and some Dolly Parton and silicone boobs. Y'all just don't. I was in the TV like this.
You get what you pay for. I mean, Dolly Parton. How old is Dolly Parton?
I have no idea. Does anybody know how old? They don't care about no boobs in the chat. They like, we got some pumpkin pie. We got some pecan pie. What kind of black folks is y'all? Y'all ain't got no sweet potato pie? Come on now, dog. We gotta have at least one sweet. She's 77. Dolly Parton. Naomi says she's 77 years old. Okay, so Dolly Parton is.
Wait. It was nothing about the boobs and whatever. My girl had the gumption.
The gumption? I like that word.
Gumption.
A forest gumption.
The unmitigated gall.
The unmitigated gumption.
To wear a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit.
Hey, I can't wear a Dallas Cowboy damn jersey out here in these football streets. Oh, good Lord.
Hey. And then what is really smart that she did, she wore a tight suit, like a bodysuit. It looked a nude.
A nude. Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
See, I'm so superficial. I just believe whatever I see. That's why I watch TV. I ain't gonna tell no, I don't believe in that stuff. I haven't watched TV since 1989. I have no idea. People be asking me, have you seen I don't even know a TV show. I can't even think of one. And I'm like,
not today. Not today. Not today's TV. I don't know anything. Well, today's TV, what is it? Just the news and then Netflix, Hulu.
I mean, I'm glad nobody likes TV because then you guys wouldn't be sitting with us, right? I never thought I'd be on a YouTube TV. I mean, when I grew up, all we had was like Sanford and Son, and we had like TV. We used to sit as a family and watch the Waltons and Little House on the Prairie. We used to do this thing, you know.
Wait, Little House on the Prairie used to come on Friday nights.
We used to watch Little House on the Prairie. We had the Brady Bunch. Woo! Marsha. Y'all like my Brady Bunch flip? Marsha. We had the Brady. 8 is enough. Oh, wait. Fonzie. Remember Pinky? Pinky used to hit the Tuscadero. We used to love Italians.
The ultimate. Okay, so what's the ultimates? What is the ultimate show?
The ultimate TV show for me, hands down, is always going to be that dang on Red Fox, Sanford and Son. That was, to me, it was a tie between them and the Jeffersons, because they used to be like honky. Like you can't say that on TV now. They used to call each other niggers. This TV today is weak. It's cancel culture. When we were growing up, hey, they used to just, George Jefferson and Red Fox and them they were just off the chain on TV.
And let me just say that if I want to laugh over and over and over again, it has to go to Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence with Mama.
That was the real Medea. I know y'all don't get mad at me. Please don't. Please, if y'all don't cancel our show, come on now. I know, Naomi, I see you in the chat. Lawana, I see you in the chat. Come on, Miss Foster. We see y'all in the chat. Come on now. Sandra probably is going to come through in a minute. Harrison, he's probably okay, but for real, guys.
Vicki Lawrence and Mama and that Carol Burnett.
Man, was she Mrs. Wiggins?
Him and that damn intercom. And he used to call her and she used to come. He said, no, you got to stay and answer.
Yes. Oh, Mrs. Wiggins. Oh, with so many. Oh, I love Carol Barnett. And she has a little earrings. Do y'all remember that? Man, oh man, I'm here to tell you.
I wonder where all those signatures are. At the end of her show, she used to get those signatures.
But hold on now. We got to digress for 1 minute on Carol Barnett. For real, she used to dress her ass up.
Bob Mackie.
Is that who was doing her?
Bob Mackie.
Bob Mackie
and the one who did
Bob Mackie?
Right. The Bob Mackie went from Carol Burnett and he did Cher. He did the Cher gowns.
I know he did Cher.
Sonny and Cher.
Man, well, I would tell you, it's this one episode on there. She had some pants on. She was like in her New York City penthouse. Because, Carol Burnett was like everywhere. And she had these pants. And in the back of the pants, pants are like, just around. The back of it was cut into a V. Baby, if I could find someone to make me a pants, she would rock them culottes. Me and my sister, my mother was a seamstress. My mother could sew. And she would make me and my sister girl. We would go to school with them culottes, and we were some bad. Y'all don't know about them culottes. If y'all know about,
boots with some bad boots.
This fashion today, we need to bring back. Who's gonna bring back the culottes? I think I'm gonna have somebody, but you have to be tiny to wear culottes. You can't be. I got a fat stomach now, so you can't wear culottes with a fat stomach. But I might get me one of those Cher and Dolly Parton nip tucks thing. Shit, I go to the plastic surgeon. He might be like, "Girl, just take your biscuit ass on back. We can't do nothing with you. Your time is up." Okay, so there you have it. We are on our 11th, no, our 10th episode here. Thanks for going down memory lane. Obviously, we are telling our age because we still we like Carol Burnett, we like the Jeffersons, and for sure. We also like Sanford and Son. So you can drop your favorite TV show in the chat if you want to. If you want to tell your age, go right ahead. But tonight we have a wonderful, wonderful podcast live stream, and we're going to be talking about the purple shampoos. And so, how do they work? Why don't they work? Every time you go onto the social media, all you hear about when it comes to shampoos are the purple shampoos. I even have some purple shampoo in my hair care lines. We're going to talk about purple shampoos, but don't forget, right now we got some people in the heezy. So come on, y'all, put that dressing down. If you probably got some wine, like this look like water, but y'all know it's vodka, right? Anywho, y'all know I love me some vodka, okay? And go ahead on and hit that thumbs up button. The channel is actually growing. So, and we haven't even advertised yet. Me and Cheryl, we about to put our, put our little coins together. We're going to advertise this channel. But you guys are making sure that we grow genuinely and authentically. So go ahead on and hit that thumbs up button while you're at it. And so, one big shout out to Alabama A&M because they came through with the all right. So I didn't go to an HBCU, but you just can't help but to like the HBC. It's got the juice. But as a matter of fact, tonight in our book, we're going to talk about education. Our book of the month is Tom Burrell's Brainwashed. So we got a couple of sentences we're going to be reading from that book. But you know what we do before we get started here, right? So we got to get real, right? So I have 2 get reels. I think you guys are going to love these get reels. So we're going to start this first one off with we want you. Last week we talked about like all this natural hair and all this other good stuff. So let's get real with combing your hair. Okay. So if you have a little kid and you're a mom and you just I just cannot get through this kid's hair. I just want to go ahead on and before I show this reel, I want you guys to know that this little girl is me and I am she. So this is exactly how I was as a little girl getting my hair combed out. And if you can relate to this little girl getting your hair combed out when you were a little girl, then put a little heart, in the chat as we get real with combing our hair. You ready, Cheryl?
I'm ready.
Let's get real and comb our hair. It hurts. It hurts.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Guilty. Okay. Okay. Come on now. I know it wasn't. Cheryl, were you like that when you were a little girl? No.
I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. My dad was. Why Fat Albert?
Yes. Fat Albert was the bomb. Hey. Yes. So, so if you were that little girl or that little boy, that was definitely me. If I saw a comb, baby, I just went into like conniptions. It was just too much. And I hated getting my hair combed out. And when I told my parents that I was going to become a cosmetologist, I swear I've got to find that picture. My father was looking like this. My father was like, "Oh, no, the hell you ain't." When I told my dad I was going to be a cosmetologist, he said, "What about your degree? Is it going to? Don't let that expire." You gonna let that damn degree expire? I said, they don't expire. Oh, yes, they do. So LaWanna, she says she confesses She was that little girl too. Okay, so there we have it. That was a little girl. Yeah. I mean, I was mad. Auntie. Okay, so we're about to get into the topic of the purple shampoo, but one more get real. I mean, it is Thanksgiving, right? So I mean, some people like it, some people don't like Thanksgiving. It's up to you guys. Do what you want to do. I'm not a Thanksgiving celebrator, but I do love that Thanksgiving food. But here we go. We're gonna get real this time with Thanksgiving. Here we go. Let's get real with Thanksgiving.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, pork, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rat, you name it.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit. Taste the honey sauce.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Taste the honey sauce. I love doing this podcast. I love doing live streaming. Taste the biscuit. Come on, y'all. Taste the honey sauce. What y'all doing? Look at Cheryl. What's up, Joy? You don't like that purple turkey? Come on now. Come on now. Taste that honey sauce. She gave Miss Shirley Caesar run for her money. Naomi like stop it, Judy. Taste the biscuit. Taste that honey sauce. Sure, you look like a biscuit too. You might taste like some honey. All right, okay. So we have a wonderful topic tonight, and it is all about purple shampoos, yellow hair, brassy hair. What the ham sandwich is going on? There's a purple hair craze that people just cannot get enough of. So we're gonna start out. They on the floor. Y'all go ahead with that honey sauce. Come on now. Me and Cheryl be like, eat the biscuit. Taste that honey sauce. So honey is yellow, and purple shampoo is supposed to be able to do something with that yellow. Particularly, it's the yellow that people don't like, Cheryl. So help everybody, understand.
Come on now, dog. The coloring is your thing.
I mean, but before we get to coloring,
we're gonna switch places. So what I would like to know, come on now, dog. Ladosha, please break it down. Break it down. Okay, so check this out. Now there's two types. Okay, there is, blonde, right, and then it'll kind of go yellowish, brassy. And then, of course, with a big oops, it goes a little greenish. Okay. And then, what do you do about that? What is really the cause? Colorist.
All right. So here we go. We're going to rock into the yellow. It's probably the biggest one that people want to know about is because I have, this. My hair is white, okay? I don't have, I got a little black. Well, no. Maybe it's, okay. So it's all gone, okay? So I don't really have any black left in my hair. I'm about 98%. I got just a little bit. You can see right there, just a little bit. But I'm pretty much all white. And so the concern that people have about white hair is it turns yellow. Okay. And so before I talk about how to get rid of it, can you just share with us why does the white hair get yellow? Can you give us some contributing factors to why white hair gets yellow? Because that's the biggest one that people want to know first, and then we'll get into the yellow. So first is what makes white hair like this, and then that grayish turn yellow.
Right. Well, let me put it this way. White, there are some people, okay, when people gray, all people don't gray basically the same. They will gray 70% what we call salt and pepper. Then some are 50% gray. Then it'll start turning what we call actual gray. Because salt and pepper is silver. It's not really gray. And that is because the white ones out of the black that are turning gray is still becoming affected by some of the minerals in the water. So they look silverish. Okay, so that's, you know, the starting of gray. But then once you get down into the bottom ones, and when the hair is completely not producing any melanocytes, the next color up that the hair can absorb, because the white hair is usually at its most recessive in terms of color, and it does not have the ability to absorb all of the other total spectrums of probably where black is. Black is dominant. So the only color that it can absorb, unfortunately, is yellow.
Okay. All right. So
That's why it's so susceptible to yellow.
So is the yellow can come from like medicines or water deposits or smoking cigarettes? Are there other contributing factors to the why gray
Gray hair has no more absorption ability. It doesn't have any more pigment. So what catches onto it, regardless through tap water, right? A pH that is in the yellow spectrum, or any other type of temperature that allows it to turn yellow, because the next color out of white is at a visible light. White is yellow.
What about the relaxer? That can turn the hair yellow.
Right. Because there's a mineral called sodium. The high pH will make it absorb and supple to absorb only one color in the spectrum, and that's yellow, because it doesn't have enough to absorb all of the other colors.
Okay. So as we can see, we got you. So we want you to understand that first of all, gray hair is a hair disorder. I think a lot of people don't know that. So remember, this is America's favorite podcast for licensed barbers, cosmetologists, and your hair aficionados. So this content will either validate what you already know, or it would bring some insight. So remember, we're not here to like put you down. We just want to help us all get through this together. So your hair loses pigment in various phases, up until the point where it's actually white. Okay. And then Cheryl just pointed out that the white hair can't really do anything else with the color. The only thing it can do is grab on to
one of the least low level energetic color in the color spectrum, and that's yellow.
And that's yellow. And so the yellow is coming from various environmental things, like you said, such as
pH, temperature, or
certain medicines can do it too, right?
Some medicines, I think, is what causes or increases or induces gray, period.
Yeah. I see that a lot with like thyroid.
But it's metal, right? But it's metals. It's a reaction to metals. Because if that was the case, it's probably picking up iron, copper, or all of the orange red looking minerals. Okay. Because it pick up all the red, because it doesn't have enough cellular material there in the pigment cell. It's only going to be a cast. It's not
exactly
right. And so, because let me just say this: if white was not part of the visible light portion of the spectrum, you wouldn't see white. And so you see white because it's basically at that neutral 0 point, what we call it visible light.
All
Then you
right.
have your red, your oranges, your yellows, and then you get into your greens, and then you get into your blues.
Right. Okay. So you have to understand, what's happening to the hair as it begins to lose pigment, and it does it in various stages, and then you have these minerals that can get on top of the hair and kind of stain it. It's not going in the hair because, like Cheryl said, it's not able to take it in unless we'll get to that next part. But for now, in general, it's not like it's turning the white. Something is literally staining the white hair. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Causing
So now
causing reaction.
causing a reaction. And like I think someone else said, yes, relaxers. Yes, that would be Lawana. Yes. So relaxers are one of those because those are minerals, right, guys? And so that's why you're going to see that yellow come onto the hair. So now we're going to get into the actual purple shampoo that a lot of people just really want to know. So we're going to start off with purple shampoos first. So here's the video right now.
And you love the no yellow?
Do not try this at home.
My go-to.
As you can see, good in theory, but not in practice.
But that's not to say I don't keep the no yellow, because I do.
All right. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is off the rip. Purple shampoos were originally formulated for exactly what Cheryl is talking about, that cast that sits on top. Okay. So it is not a toner. I have to make this abundantly clear, because shampoos are not going into the cuticle. We have set this on both platforms that hair is hydrophobic. So toner is definitely language for coloring. You're going to have to alter the hair somehow, in some facet. You're going to have to, swell that cuticle. So I have some images here just so we can just kind of walk through, so you can understand exactly what happens, when you put that purple shampoo onto your hair. So our little image here is showing you that the purple is just going to sit on top. Okay. Now, if you notice in the first video, you will see the purple sit on top of the hair. You can still see it. And that's because purple shampoos have what we call direct dyes in the actual shampoo. So they literally stain the hair, much like, a stain would be on your wall or a white surface. So when you have that yellow, because you're not able to swell that cuticle just a little, depending on how it's in there, it's not going to get it off. So even though the purple shampoos are formulated for the yellow hair, depending on the severity of the cast that you have on top of that gray hair, you may have to use a product that's going to swell it just a little, because maybe that minerals have gotten dislodged underneath the cuticle. So here's another image here. So this is to show you typically what's happening right here. Let's say these green balls is that yellow cast that Cheryl was talking about. So typically you can take the purple shampoo and they'll come off. But now remember, if you are heat styling, if you are chemically altering, that is going to cause that cuticle to just, come up just a little bit. Not altering though. We're talking about a reaction to the actual heat or the actual chemical, because nothing is going in. Relaxers does not go into the cortex. So sometimes you will need an actual demi. It's not on this one here, but you have 6 types of colors. You have temporary, which is like your shimmer lights or those conditioners. Then you have your demi, which goes in here that has your semi. And then you have semis don't have a developer. And then your demis have a developer. And then there's your permanent. And then there's your powder lightener. And then there's your henna, which also acts like a temporary color if you look at that. Okay. So you got to understand that those purple shampoos are not going to get that out if that mineral is just ever so gingerly under the cuticle. People who smoke a lot, are heavy smokers, people who do the relaxers, people who heat, they use the curling iron was too hot. You're going to get that yellow underneath. It's going to be up under there a little bit. Okay. So when it comes to those purple shampoos, lower your expectations depending on the severity. They may not always work. You do have to use them for a little while. They recommend that you shampoo the hair first and then you go back with your purple shampoos. It's supposed to leave a cast, and that's the drawback. For some people, especially if you sometimes, I don't know how we can explain this, Cheryl, but what you see with the because eye colors, like the people with lighter color eyes, they see things a little bit different from people who have darker color eyes. So sometimes your eyes can make you think you see something that's really not there. So sometimes you might think you have a cast and you use the purple shampoo and then your hair looks like the lady in the video where you have all these purple stains going throughout your hair and you will have to let those wash off. So I would say lower your expectations on the purple shampoo, but please understand purple shampoos are not toners. And I don't even know why companies are touting a shampoo as a toner. Do you think you can maybe give some
I think the cosmetology world and manufacturing world are and the fabric world and the dye world and the industrial dyeing of things, fabrics, cases, and paints. The word toner is used in cosmetology professional ranks differently from beauty cosmetic color companies. Toner means adjust the tone, and the tone does not necessarily mean inside of the cortex. Tone means that you can either be cooling it, you could be raising it, you can make it more vivid. It's the same thing as this. What if I decided to get me a contact lens called eye toners, right? And the problem is it's kind of hard to color brown eyes because they're already so dark, right? So you're going to be toning gray, blue, and hazel and green, right? So if green wanted to have, let's say, brown, they would put in a red contact or a dark red. The point is that when the industrial world means tone, it doesn't mean anything permanent. For some reason, the cosmetic world makes actual processors called toners. But toner is and the oldest word belongs to a cosmetic, but it's a splash. It's a face toner. Doesn't necessarily mean something that is a processor. Doesn't mean that. So the color world of salon color companies, when they say toner, it's just so much more involved.
Yeah, you have to understand. Yeah, a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to use purple shampoo to tone my blonde hair to make it less brassy. You'll have a very temporary effect for maybe like 15 minutes. It might take you to the end of the day.
It's a stain.
Yeah. But
And
I guarantee, and the more you
yeah.
use it, yeah, because those shampoos have those are pure pigments. They do sit on top, and just like nail polish, they just build up on it. So,
Well, and let me
those.
just say this, guys. Sometimes I brush my teeth with purple food coloring because I want my teeth extra white without having the bleach and all of the other dumb shit that you guys use on those damn strips. That other craziness. All you do is brush your teeth because all you're doing is casting another tone on top of the cast.
Right,
That's already
and you also have to understand that
but
when
it's
you're when you're looking at stuff on social media, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Half of the stuff is full of filters. That's number one. Number two, when you look at how light reflects, like the actual, the bulb when you hit the flash. So when the flash hits that yellow, remember that flash is like a violet, right? So when it comes back to your eye, it's going to look white on that screen, but baby, in real life, that shit's yellow. Okay. I'm not making this up. Especially when you're talking about, the darker pigments. So you just have to be really careful, with using purple shampoos on white hair. Those are not toners. Okay. So they are considered temporary, colors. The molecules, they sit on top. And like Cheryl said, there's no refining, nothing like that is taking place.
Right. And let me just say this. The key here is what makes professionals different. It makes you guys different is your ability to be able to understand what makes something unpermanent, temporary, and what makes something permanent. What makes something permanent? I'm asking.
Yeah. Right.
No,
Yeah. So
it's a
right.
question.
Yeah. Right. So what's going to make the color permanent, number one, is if you actually go and alter the hair.
I know, but what makes it permanent?
Using an actual permanent dye with a developer. So the permanent color has certain pigments and certain ingredients. The most popular ingredient, of course, is your phenolene derivative tints. A lot of people are allergic to those. Some people are not. But even the products that say they're non-PPD, which is your phenolene, all that fancy stuff, it's still a derivative because something's got to be able to go in with the developer to carry it onto into the cuticle to either use the existing pigment or, like Cheryl said, refine. When I was in cosmetology school, they used to teach us like red cancels green. Well, they're not using that language anymore because, per what Cheryl just told you, it can only refine. You can't get rid of it. And that, for a lot of people, is bad news. And by the time you can get rid of it.
Let me reference it and make sure that we're on the same page. You mean they don't use cancel out and offset? Why?
Because the pigment is still there a little bit. So a person can say, like, I want to see brown, but I don't want to see any red. Well, brown has red in it. So, you can.
So let's just say somebody deposited something and it has a red cast, right? What you're saying is, if I don't like that red, you can't take the red out.
You can refine it. Yeah, you can. You have to change the form. You may have to create. You can custom blend and get it down as much as you want. But sometimes, particularly as you're going up, you're making the hair a little bit lighter. It's hard to control. And because some people are like, I don't want to be that dark. Let's take like your level. So you would be considered like a level 3. So like people like, well, I want Cheryl's color, but I just don't want to see, any red in it. You may have to take them to a level 2, depending on how they're, because no two heads of hair are alike. So as much as we want to say, I want my hair exactly like Cheryl's, most colorists will be like, well, it's only going to come out in the wash once we do what? Your consultation. Sometimes you have to do a test strand. So colorists don't really like to, what we say, undersell. And then, you don't want to over deliver, so you kind of undersell it. And then if it comes out, then it's perfect. You write your formula down. But on most people, there's no cookie cut. So the colors that we see in the swatches, they're to help us formulate. They're not for you to say, I want to see what's on that chart. So professionally, we're not even really supposed to show you the swatches because we use them to formulate. And I had an exchange with a customer who just was like, she wanted what was on the swatch. And I'm like, well, those swatches are for me. They're not for you. Because we have to use them to create what you want to see with the naked eye. So let's just say, for example, you want to be a golden blonde and you see a golden blonde swatch. Well, I might not use gold to give you that golden blonde. I might have to lift you up a little bit higher and tone you down depending on how dark, your hair is. So that's really for us. That's really not for the customer to look at and to use, to say, use this. We could use it as a guide, but I may not actually use that color to give you the results that you want to see. And so when you're using those shampoos that call themselves toners, you have to understand, like Cheryl said,
is wrong. Why did the color world? Why did the color world think that they own the word toner, and then everybody else is wrong when toner was already in cosmetics to begin with?
Well, I'm not quite sure on the, I think what happened with color hair, because it used to just be blonde. You were just the level, you had your underlying pigments, and that is just what people used to use back in the day, according to some of my, let's just use this one here. So back in the day when you lifted hair, this is what you got. You had, this was your, platinum is up a little bit. So Marilyn Monroe would be like up in here, and there was no such thing as a toner. Well, the fashion world came in and people wanted to see what? I want to see a little bit of peach, maybe a little bit of blue, maybe a little bit of pink. So we started to create these quote unquote toners, and we would call them fashion series. And so these don't stay on the hair very long because, again, you have to go in and swell that cuticle a little bit more so that color can last a little bit longer. Unlike your temporary colors or your semis, so your shampoos and your semis, these are going to come right off. This is why we don't call them toners, because they don't last, and it just only makes for a very angry customer. Like, my hair was red, and when I watched it, it turned out pink. Well, she used the wrong thing. And so that's the difference between your professional colorist and somebody who just says, what, I'm going to just do your hair. There's a lot of science in it. And so we have to take a lot of things into account. Number one is, it's two things in the color world: time and money. If you don't have either, hey, don't mess around with this stuff, because you need both. You need time and you need money. So let's move right on over. Now, if you have some questions about this, please drop them in the chat. We got some.
Let me ask you guys a question. So but back to my like before you started giving us a really in-depth look at this, was if you wanted to make your purple shampoo demi or permanent, what would you do?
Well, shampoos, you can't. You would actually have to use a demi permanent. Semis, not recommended, because they're going to...
No. You have to remember, when you mix color, you have just dye and you have what?
a developer, peroxide.
Right. My point to hairstylists in making sure, because of course, you guys are the physicians of cosmetics, and if you know your chemistry, what does the shampoo need? A carrier, right? It needs a shift in pH. I think my goal with my question is what makes something permanent? It is the developer. What is stopping hairstylists from understanding that they can do a custom mix with purple?
I have never tried to use peroxide with a shampoo. Only I've never used it, so I can't speak to that. I've never been taught to do that. But if anybody, we could play mad scientist and see what comes up.
Well, you
We
would
do
be
have
said. Well, what? Right, but I'm confused. Is shampoo a dye or not?
shampoo is not a dye. They have direct
No,
dyes,
shampoo
and
is not a dye. I'm talking
right.
about purple in that shampoo is a dye.
Yes, the purple is yes.
Right? How do
Correct.
you make it? How do you make it demi or permanent?
How do I make a demi a permanent?
Right. And I'm trying to show you how they have told you that a purple shampoo is just a shampoo and it casts a stain. But that shampoo is only one step for being a color.
Correct. But now if you're trying to make it permanent, I highly doubt that you can
Well,
take
if the only thing that makes something demi or permanent is developer, what is preventing?
No, it's a little bit more because inside your tube, you have other ingredients by way of pigments, and some other actives that's going to keep the color from coming back off. As particularly as you wash it or you put curling irons to it, or you want to create like what I have, you could not achieve that with a shampoo. Mixing it with a developer.
Okay.
I would I would try it and see if it can actually happen.
I think it's marketing.
Yeah.
But because it has the same sulfates in it. It has the same dye in it. And I know that they want to make them, but then once professionals start talking, and consumers start talking about something else, they'll say, no, but there's dye in it. There's color in it. Of course there's color in it.
Yeah, there's definitely color in the shampoo, but it's not going to remove that yellow out of the hair because you would need it just depends on.
Well, you're not lifting at all.
Right. Yeah.
Lifting is the only way you would be getting rid of something.
Right.
Depositing is the only reason why you put something in. You're
right.
not to what you just said. You're not getting rid of. If you deposit something that your person doesn't like, you're not taking it out. You're only adjusting it. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, you're gonna adjust it, but it may stay on the hair. So at the end of the day, it's to just
because if you can't take it out, it's gonna stay there, right?
Yeah. So just be careful with your purple shampoos onto any color, whether you're trying to tone your blonde hair or your white hair. I would just say be very careful because sometimes the direct dyes will just sit on top of the hair.
Why doesn't? Yeah, I got another question. Why doesn't the industry create any other shampoos, colors?
They do. They have a plethora of them. They have lots. They have shampoos in every single color you could think of, from teal to red. And they do. You just once you put them on top.
Right. But the main thing for those things are to clean.
And they're deposit. They don't. Yeah, they're not going to clean the hair. They are truly to deposit on top. So the foaming action, it's more like the experience, if you will. Sometimes when people
they don't work.
They don't clean. They do deposit. Oh yes, baby. they deposit. Those shampoos, they definitely deposit onto, especially if you already have color on your hair, you want to refresh it. They do have shampoos and conditioners that's going to, like I said, stain the outside. But after you wash the hair for a while without it, it'll just come right back off the hair. So now we'll go into the second video. And this one is actually about, this is taking us into Cheryl's other point, and this was about for gray hair. Here's another product.
And you love the No Yellow.
I use it once a month, if I even use it once a month, because I feel my natural shampoos do a real great job on their own, taking care of keeping my hair bright and silvery. Right now, it looks like I'm looking kind of.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
The only downfall to this is the one con I have. I'm sorry. The con I have is it turns your hair purple.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
If you like that, you'll love this. Now the Band 2 Yellow Out Conditioner, and I only paid $3.99 for it. I don't use it that often. These two products last a very long time. And this is by Soft Sheen Carlson. It says it's brighten gray hair and removes yellowing. It does exactly what it says.
Now, to your point, that does have peroxide in it. That's an old-fashioned solution. I don't know how many old school hairstylists we have in the chat where they recommend that you use equal parts, 3% peroxide and water, and you add a little conditioner, and that has the swelling action that you're talking about. And so that has been known to definitely, if you continue to use it, I believe that's what Band 2 is, but I don't know if you're familiar with that concoction, but I've heard that when I first entered cosmetology school, that was an old school concoction, but I don't know if they're still doing it. Are you familiar with that one?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I do remember that bottle.
Yeah, Band 2, that used to be inside.
But I'm from the era of knowing how to manipulate color.
Yeah, I believe that was missing the gentle treatment relaxer, that little white stuff. That's what that is. Yeah. So yeah, that's old school. So here's what's in it. It's got the cetera, the hydrogen peroxide, the conditioner. It kind of mimics that old formula. I don't know. But that's an old school formula. I've never tried it. And I was just wondering if you're familiar with it. And again, this helps get yellow out. And the old school formula is basically you're going to use equal parts of peroxide and water. You add the conditioner to keep the hair from like frying out. And it's supposed to, get the yellow. But be careful, because remember, peroxide has lifting, and gray hair is like what the underlying pigment is still there. So if you lighten gray hair, it's going to turn what? Orange. So be very, very careful. I haven't tried it, so I'm not quite sure. If you are familiar with that,
no. You're skipping over a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, are you lifting or not?
Well, that's not supposed to lift the color. It's really for the yellow. I think I don't know the science behind
it. You cannot have.
I'm not quite sure. That's why I'm asking you. I don't know.
No. Right, because you said you're going to add a more aggressive color, which you need pigment to even have orange in the first place.
Well, if you use peroxide on white hair, it's because the underlying pigment is still there.
Okay, so it's dyeing the actual other pigment, not the gray.
Mm-hmm. If you use peroxide by itself. Now, with this concoction here, like I said, I don't know the science behind it. If anybody in the chat is familiar, they used to call it, I believe it was called a white wash. and I'm not familiar with it, but
And
I
it
do.
will leave. You mean the phosphorus will leave a orange cast?
If you use too much peroxide.
Yeah,
But with
because
that
it's blonde
concoction,
already.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's white already. It's blonde already. It's blonde.
Well, remember this. What I'm talking about is for yellow hair. So this concoction is not for just whitening. It's for if you have yellow on the white hair. Say you don't want to use the purple shampoo, correct? Then you could use. I think it was called like a whitewash, and so that consisted of equal parts peroxide, water, and then you had the conditioner, and that's supposed to help remove that yellow off. But if you put peroxide on white hair, it will reveal the underlying pigment. And that depends on what your original level was before you turned white.
And this is not, and you guys think that there was an actual color under the blonde hair.
What do you mean? You lost me. I'm sorry.
When you guys turn and lift something blonde, you guys still think there's brown there. Because that's the only reason, the only way that it could be orange.
No. Let me use the little swatch here. Hold up 1 second.
Yeah, it's
I'm looking for my little picture. Oh, here it is. Okay. So say in the theory of lifting, well, they only have it at level 5. So say my hair is white, but before I turn white, let's say this was my hair. If I was to go right now and I put lightener on this hair, it's going to turn. White. Huh?
You mean it's going to gain some pigment?
Right. The terminology we use is reveal the underlying pigment.
You just took it out.
No, right. But no, this is my white hair. I didn't take this out.
No, that's just your hair. You've lost your pigment. You have no pigment there.
Right.
So how does it gain pigment when you put an alkaline on it? That's what I'm saying it's an oxide effect. The color world says you had pigment there. So whatever that was there, that's what the ammonium in the developer is picking up. Is that what they tell you?
Yes. And so the language they use is reveal. Yeah. So because a lot of times people think that you could just take white hair and make it platinum. That's the number one reason why people with gray hair, they will say, can you make it platinum? And we're like, no, you can't, because when you go to lighten it, you're still going to, because you can't make hair white. So when you put the developer onto the white, I'm sorry?
Yours is white.
Yeah, but if I wanted to take this hair and make it this color, the minute I put the lightener on it, it's going to go through these stages of lift.
Right. That's only because you're starting at the 5.
Right. If that's more, mine would be a little bit darker because my original level was a 3, was a 2.
Right. And it's fascinating how they teach you, because your gray hair, nature, your gray hair is staunch white.
Right.
They're saying that you can't duplicate that.
No, I've never seen it possible. Not without melting.
I agree. I agree, because the light, the highest you're gonna probably get is 10.
Yeah, that's the lightest you can get. So people, they come in, they really think, you can make hair white. And we're like, it depends on how dark. What did your natural level come out? If you came up to this, you can melt it. You can get something out of that and use a toner. And to the naked eye, you can definitely get a little white look. But more than likely, the yellow is going to come back, because remember, these are artificial colors that we're putting on top. So that's what makes the lightening so expensive, because number one, the hair grows every day, all day, right? And then number two, you're using another color to refine this yellow that you don't want to see. And so you would have to use it very often. And so if you want to keep your natural hair, again, as white as possible, be careful with your purple shampoos. And then you do have that other alternative, the Bantu. I don't know if that's on the market anymore. I couldn't find it. It seems to be, I think
I mean, you can make it in your salon. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
but
not,
I haven't tried it though. I'll play. I don't know if I'll put it on my hair.
let me just
I
say
don't have
this.
yellow hair.
You guys have never seen an albino totally white. There is some pigment left there. It just probably it's all in the amounts. But even albino people's hair is not white. Not as white as Ladosha's. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah. So the you said let's see here. She says you've seen a bunch of videos lately with people just using direct dyes to tone their hair. You can. It depends on what color you want to see. So if I want my gray hair to be pink, I could use a red color, and when I wash it down, it will leave a stain on it. That's very, very possible. So that definitely can.
But that gray is not going to suck up that whole red spectrum.
No. You will have to use permanent color.
White, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that we're moving off the subject a little bit, but just know, I think Cheryl. I'm sorry, Esther says, but there can't be an underlying pigment under white. Wrong. When you go to do this, like I said, if you put powder lightener, if I took some lightener and I put it on this hair, it's going to start to go through those phases. And I'm not quite sure what that phenomenon is. Cheryl, what were you saying? How did you describe that?
Well, you have to remember, bleach is not white.
She means the powder lightener. The powder lightener.
The phenomenon of bleach. Guys, you put bleach on your shirt's going to turn yellow. But it's an oxidizing yellow. The pigment is not coming up, or there's no adding the color in the color spectrum. It's an oxidized because the mineral has turned the substance white. It's not pigment. It's an oxidation. And that is one of the languages that I don't know if the coloring world uses. They use what we call an underlying pigment. And when you have gray white, there is no underlying pigment to get. What they're saying is you take a bleach drop, put it on a starch white shirt, it's gonna be yellow.
Yeah.
But it's no pigment in my shirt.
And I think they use the language just to help you get a visual. So sometimes it's just to help you be able to work through the actual coloring process. To your point,
because the fabric world and the industrial world has to use what the minerals are going to oxidize as. For some reason, the salon coloring world does not take effect into the oxidizing of minerals at all, pH at all. They don't, they just go straight in there and keep saying that there's something there when you already know that there is nothing there. It's white.
Right. But yeah. So So, and that's where your formulation comes into play. So when you're coloring the hair, they're always asking you to do, 5 key things. And that is number one, you have to determine either the existing or natural level. And then number 2, they want you to question, well, what is the desired level? And then 3, what's your color direction? And then 4, you take into account the quality or integrity of the hair. Is it strong? Is it weak? Is it normal? And of course, there goes your percentage of gray. And so all of these, you have to answer all 5. And so when you're using these shampoos and you're thinking that you can quote unquote tone hair, I think it's still kind of the natural. They're kind of borrowing from the chemical world and trying to make it make sense, because to your point, you can't take red shampoo and put it on this white hair and it's going to just turn red. That doesn't quite work like that. Yeah.
And I think that too, most people don't realize that white is not a color. And I think that in the world that we're getting, black, all of the other ones are absorbing, and that's the hue you see. White is totally not a color; it's a reflection.
Right.
It's not it's not a color. So I think that let me just say this. This is not my expertise, but I will say I agree. I don't know what white people want that, white hair.
Yeah, it's a high request.
It's hard to get. Yeah.
Yeah. And like Esther said, some people are so determined, and you're absolutely right, Esther. They want to lift that very, very dark hair, and they think they figured it out. God. You do see a lot of stuff on IG, but I'm telling you guys, most of that stuff, they are filters. In real life, if your hair is as dark as the image back here on Cheryl's poster here, it's probably going to melt off before you make it to this. So I would just, I don't do that.
Who was white in your family, like you?
My father. Yeah. So by the time I was 17, it was pretty much, it was white. But by the time I hit like 32, 33, it was all white. It was all white. Yeah, so there you have it. So shampoos are not toners. So now that goes into the last part of the live. And we're going to be wrapping this up here. Pretty intense. As you guys can see, this is why, education is like really, really, really important. And then also I want to point out that different companies have different languages. So, if you're working with another company, they may not use the term underlying pigment. They may use something else. They might go up to level 12, 13. So it varies. I know Schwarzkopf doesn't recognize level 2, and some companies do. So just make sure you rock with the company that's going to fit the audience that, or your clientele that's coming through the salon. And then last but not least, we'll talk about just verifying that shampoos are not toner. So here we go.
Do purple shampoos work?
It literally in a couple of seconds changes the whole head of hair.
Find that if you use ones that are actually for grey hair rather than the ones you talk about, they're more designed for bleached hair, then you should be absolutely fine. But you want to go for ones that say silver shampoo.
Okay. But it's not a toning product. So there are direct pigments. Look at their hands. Oh. You are lucky you have so much curls you don't see the regrowth.
What you talking about, huh?
And so we see that a lot, where people will have really brassy, regrowth, and then the ends it's just pretty much bleached out, and they'll use those purple shampoos thinking that it's white. And like you said, because her hair was so curly, you could not see just how murky those roots are. We see that a lot. And so again, when it comes to using purple shampoos, at the end of the day, what we want you to understand here on Planet Pluto Pseudo is that purple shampoos are not actually toners. If you want to actually, refine an unwanted pigment, or you want to create something, say you want to, have like a peach or a rose color, or, whatever fashion color that you want to see. Here is another little image here. Oh, sorry, that was the pH. Again, I'm just going to go back to that image just to kind of walk you guys through. Here is your temporary. So these are, of course, your shampoos, your conditioners like that Shimmer Lights or that red staining shampoo that Cheryl was talking about. The dye is going to literally sit on the cuticle. They don't have demi on here, but they do have semi. So semi, they stain a little bit heavier because you don't have the shampoo to kind of dilute the actual color molecules. So shampoos, the other ingredients, just they kind of dilute those pigments. Your demi is going to go under the cuticle. It's going to swell because you need a developer. So demi has just a little bit of peroxide, I think like 2% or something like that, and it's going to swell. And the beauty of using toners, say like on my color, like this is a color that people just, I really want that. It's not too orangey, it's not too yellow. So your toners, you're gonna that peroxide will swell it just a little, so that when I go to flat iron it or I blow dry it or I rev air it, you know what? The color stays. So when I get my fresh color, it'll be like really orange. But I do use a demi to help it, last a little bit longer. And then to Cheryl's point again, your permanent colors, you're going to get a total swell on the cuticle. And here you're going to see the artificial pigment is going in to either use the pigment that you want, or it's going to, what we say, refine. And then powder lightener, Cheryl's, you say those don't actually remove pigment. How did you describe that?
On gray, we're talking?
Or just on hair in general? So in theory, they're saying powder lighteners are going to take out all of your pigment. They don't consider powder lighteners hair color because you can't put a color on top. So if you use powder lightener, you only reveal what these underlying pigments. So if you put powder lightener, you will get this. If you use hair dye, you'll get like red.
Well, we can't see where your finger. We can't see where your finger is.
Oh, right here. So if you use powder lightener, you get what we call, these are underlying pigments.
Right.
So when you use permanent color,
then you talk about 9, then 8. 7. I'm trying to get my finger here in front of the camera there.
Right.
So 10. Okay. So which one are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying when you use powder lightener.
5, right?
Yeah. So powder lighteners, they just take pigment out of the hair. You can't use powder lightener to make hair green. You can't use it to make it, red. So that's why they call them, color removers, because you can't actually color with that particular
gotcha.
They used to have a company that had one back in the day, Joico. Ooh, that was some good stuff. But anywho, I don't know why they got rid of it. But anywho, so there you have it. So that's the simple use. Purple shampoos are good. Just refining a little bit there, but you just gotta be careful. Watch out for watching those videos on Instagram.
And what does the color world feel about the neutralization? Because that is basically the same premise of neutralizing, and we were talking about clarifying shampoos as well, but neutralizing shampoos in terms of color. There's no depositing of colors in terms of
we don't use. Right? Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off. We don't use neutralizing shampoos and hair coloring, but what we do, we have 2 products that we use in hair coloring. That's kind of cool. You have the No H2O2. It's a little spray that helps kind of pull the residue of the peroxide out of the hair. And then you have it's a spray that you put on the hair, and it's supposed to pull out.
And what spray is that? I'm curious.
It's called, let me see if I can find it. It's called No H2O2. Let me see if I can find
it. H2O2. No H2O2. And let me just say this: I am so fascinated about that.
Here it is. All right, so here's one right here. Let me just come back and I'll just show it to you.
Yeah, because how do you get, because you guys, if you swell, yeah, how do you bring it? How do you unswell it?
All right. So here it is. Share. All right. So this one, and this is for professional use only, of course. You got to have license, but this is the no H2. I was trying to see if it was going to give me a little description here.
Okay. Maybe you have to click on it.
No.
No. Okay, well.
Let me see here.
I
use this. We use this product line. It is the absolute. You can relax and use this in one day. It's off the Richter scale. It is the bomb.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So you can relax. You can relax hair, and you can lighten it in one sitting. And it is absolutely. It is just. That's what put the Revers design team on the map.
But you always could relax in color.
I mean, lighten. Like powder lightener, like make it blonde.
Okay.
That was something that used to be the no-no.
Oh, okay.
Well, they used to teach that.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying.
Well, I get it.
So that was that there. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so they have that product there. So that one's it's pretty cool. And so it's supposed to take the residue of the peroxide out of the hair. And then of course, you still have your good old-fashioned shampoo, soap cap, where you add some shampoo and you wash your hair and you just kind of use that to tone it all down. So that one never goes out of style. I don't know how long that's been around, but so those are the two things that we use to truly tone hair. One is the actual demi permanent color, or you can use a semi. And then last but not least, if you want to make a little soap cap, you can do that to kind of deposit some color onto the hair. And depending on what color you have, you can also use soap caps to tone. But remember, these are temporary. They don't last forever. You have to reapply them. So next week, we forgot to tell everybody to do the one thing here. Cheryl, we got a little chatty Cathy.
Come on, now. Well, we got into it.
All right, so it's not too late to do this, guys. All right, so there you have it. There you have it. We're telling you right now, don't forget to do what? Hit that thumbs up button. Our book tonight is Tom Burrell's Brainwashed. And so today we're just going to highlight page 94 because we're going to be talking about education. We got 2 more weeks before the watch party. And so Cheryl and I know that it's really, really important that we're here for you guys. And we want to be of support. Cheryl, is it okay if I show them some slides of some of the classes that we're going to be offering via the Afro Hair Science? You sent me some images over. Is it okay?
You the boss.
All right. So these are just some concepts of some workshops that we're going to be offering here. So this one here is mastering texture. So these are going to be online. You guys have been asking, like, when are you guys going to do some online classes? We're going to be dedicated to like every 3 months, every other month to every 3 months on via Zoom. We're going to offer some wonderful courses for under $100. So these are not very expensive. Here's another example. Afrophobia, a 400-year problem. What you'll learn: plantation politics, the psychological triggers, understanding Blaxploitation versus Black Americana. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. This will really empower you behind the chair. Here's another one we're looking at offering is a pro curl world. absolutely phenomenal. And then last but not least, we have this one here, Chemical Mastery. These are all online courses. I just saw one more, sorry. Afro Metamorphosis. So these are some of the online courses that we're going to be offering you guys so that we can be of some support, because we're really concerned about some of the language that we're hearing out here that's calling us a bunch of dummies. Okay, so Cheryl and I, we are your partners, but when you think about education and Tom Burrell's Brainwashed, he says this, so intent were idealists to create the best Black institutions. Some fell into the trap of low expectations, failing to prepare kids to succeed outside the cocoon of Blackness. Like schools established after the periods of emancipation, Reconstruction, and legalized integration, most of the African-centered educational models turned out to be promising experiments cut short by the overwhelming power of the Black institution complex influenced nation. So he's saying that African-centered education did not quite set us up. And so as we think about what we want to do in the world of cosmetology, can we do something that won't do this when it comes to hair education for barbers and cosmetologists?
What's your question? Oh, won't
He
brainwash
was
us?
saying that, yeah, in Brainwash, he was saying in that passage, you know, that those Black institutions, it kind of turned out to be promising. Those were experiments. He felt they were cut short by overwhelming too much Blackness.
Right. Let me say this in not to mention one of the classes that we're going to be talking about in January, but our concept of curliness, for just lack of a, it's just that word. I think when you're talking about us trying to define what a continental Black person is, we must first talk about what we see out in the world in terms of, we are so inundated with a European concept of everything, actually, but we don't see things as an African perspective either. And I think that we don't talk about that. And once you take both those away from us, I think that the boldest thing that we can do as Black Americans is to actually say we're going to have to just invent our own kaleidoscope.
So in his comment, his concern, now, of course, he was speaking about, regular school. And on this platform, we're talking about cosmetology. Is there a way to improve the education in cosmetology that doesn't block us into a paradigm that we can't see our way above and beyond? Because the education as it stands right now, just by the exchange that we had in the coloring, you were able to just really extrapolate. These are some missing components. Some of the language could be used better to help us, be, I don't want to say better, but improve thought thinkers and the work that we do behind the chair. Can that be done? Because when you read his book, he was saying, okay, it can be done. All right. So the last passage here go ahead. You're going to say?
No. Go ahead.
So his last passage, the last passage I'm going to read, he says, you can't minimize the importance of cultural knowledge. You cannot build a healthy child. Most certainly, she will not have a healthy worldview if he or she does not see himself or herself involved creatively in the development of civilization, cultural, industry, and science. Is that what's happened in the cosmetology world? African American hairstylists.
Right. Let's just say that in talking about relaxing, it's something that Black people as a culture in this country, in the Western world, has done. But see, when we talk about culture, the culture of Afroness is just as foreign to us as the white standard of beauty is.
Right. But if we've never, I mean, we don't, of course, guys, I'm not saying make the cosmetology world Black, but to his point, when instead of saying a child, I'm going to say when an African American cosmetologist or a Latino or does not see him or herself involved creatively in the development of the civilization, cultural, industry, and science of cosmetology, there's going to be a problem.
Well, here's the thing.
Now, that's not what he said. I'm just kind of paraphrasing.
Absolutely. I think because of our unique start in this country, the moment you even tell them that you need to see something cultural and see yourself, when we say that, we don't mean that wholeheartedly. Because as a Black person, you're everything. As Black Americans, we're not one or the other. We want to talk a good game and say, when we say cultural, we mean African. But we're not all African. In our scheme, we are the gamut. And you can't make us start with identifying ourselves. And when we say, and just because our face is Black doesn't mean that we can't be just as Polynesian. We have a unique job in the world. We are the ones who are Black at heart, may have Afro textured hair, but we are so global. And I think that as cosmetology, we can teach the arts and sciences of curly hair, but we also have been given hair that can be worn straight. The moment I tell them that culturally you can only see yourself as a Black Afro-African that is dark skinned, big lip, we are really still trying to figure this out through racism. And
I wish. Yeah, and that's really where I was. Yeah, that's where I was going. Is there a way that we can improve the education without race card? I think the race is killing our ability to do what we need to do in the barber and beauty industry. I really do feel that way. And so you guys here in the chat, just a couple of super duper shout outs. Sharon Smith, Miss Esther, we definitely always appreciate you. Lawana, you always rocks it out with us. We had Miss Ebony from Ebony Exotic Bees. Miss Eileen was in the chat. Naomi, Rashida, my ATL BFF was in the chat. Jay Morris, so glad to see you. Miss Foster hopped in, but I think she hopped back out. So we just want to thank you guys so much, and those of you who are lurking in the backgrounds. We really, really appreciate you all for rocking it out with us here on Planet Pluto Pseudo. At the end of the day, like we said again, watch out, using those purple shampoos, and understand that there's a lot of science that goes into what you might be wanting to see by way of the end results. Seek out a professional colorist. And again, from the exchange between Cheryl and I, we can see that we need to do some wonderful things here in the world of cosmetology, but we do see race as an impediment. But it is our goal via the science of Afro hair science to somehow work our way around the race card so that we can raise the bar and we could do some wonderful things, about hair, skin, and nails. And Monday, go ahead.
And by the way, look at me and Ladosha's faces. And if we were to go back to, let's just say, West Africa, right? I would be Fulani. And depending on what, Ladosha could be Ethiopian. She could be, and I could be from.
I'm Wolof.
Right. And she would be either Sere or Wolof, but I would be Fulani. But our features are just as, but I'm lighter. I could either be from Eritrea too, but my hair is coarser. And she is a dark-skinned Wolof, but her hair is so straighter. And that's why you can't mess with race. Because Africa gives you, there's no one way. And I think that if that is nothing more of a reason for Afro cosmetology to come into the Western world and to sit besides traditional cosmetology, and we have to push for that, that is what we're trying to invite in. Because the traditional cosmetology is not going to invite the global family. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to do it.
And we hope that you guys are catching the undertone of that very statement here on Planet Pluto Pseudo and on the dumbest shit that people say about Black hair. The race really, it really don't, it just doesn't. I think from a consumer's perspective, because they may like to use that language, but our job as service providers is to be able to interpret that and do what we need to do and use it to help you understand your hair versus, use it to do your hair. You know what I'm saying? We can't use race to do hair as we're going to jack it up every single time. But anywho, Monday, we're going to do part 2 talking about the relaxer. We didn't get a chance to get to the California green. So we're going to pick up, we're going to recap a little bit about the relaxer, and they're going to move directly into the California green, which I'm excited to hear about. And then when we come back next week, we're going to talk about the state of cosmetology and barbering education. What can we do per Tom? I think Tom Burrell, again, this is our book of the month. His last, the passage that I just read here, let's see, what was it at here? Again, he said, if he or she does not see him or herself involved creatively in the development of civilization, culture, industry, and the science of cosmetology, what are we going to do? All right, so sure, we're going to pick it up from right there. Please join us. It's going to be intense and content heavy, and we hope you learn something wonderful about using those purple shampoos. So you know what we say when we're signing out, right? Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Now go eat some of that Sam's chitlins. Bye, guys.